Test, test, test. 1, 2, 3.
I'm not. No,
CV, can you hear me well?
I can hear you well.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you well.
Okay.
Ready? 5:15? Oh, I thought it was 5. Good evening, everyone. I will now call the Tuesday, November 10th, 2020, City of Homestead Community Redevelopment Agency meeting to order. It is now 5:15 p.m. This will be a hybrid CRA meeting, which allows for the public to participate by calling in through Cisco WebEx or physically appearing. Please note that due to COVID-19, there will be a limited occupancy available in the council chambers. Face coverings must be worn by attendees at all times. In addition, the public will be subject to temperature checks and COVID screenings will be required. The meeting can also be viewed live on the City Access channel or city website at cityofhomestead.com. The city will be accepting public comments as part of the meeting, which can be emailed to publiccomments@cityofhomestead.com. Public comments are limited to 300 words per comment. Public comments on agenda items can be submitted by noon Monday, November 9th, and will be included in the minutes. And all public comments can be submitted up to 30 minutes after the end of the special call council meeting and will be included in those minutes. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Board Member Avila. Board Member Bailey. Board Member Shelley.
Here.
Board Member Roth. Board Member Fletcher.
Here.
Vice Chairwoman Faircloth Staggers.
Here.
Chairman Losner.
I'm here. Thank you. Are there any deletions or deferrals? None. All right. We now have before us the approval, for consideration, the approval of the October 13th, 2020 CRA Board meeting minutes. Do I have a motion for approval? Moved by Board Member Roth.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Avila. Do we have any further questions or comments on the minutes? All in favor of approval, aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next item. Tab 2, car number 3036, CRA landscape maintenance. Ms. Driver?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Do I have to keep this on when I speak? No? Okay.
Thank you. On August 21st, 2020, the Procurement and Contract Services Division issued ITB number 202005-CRA Landscape and Maintenance. Notices were sent to over 750 vendors and 6 responses were received. After a thorough review, E. Rodriguez Landscaping, Inc. was found to be the lowest responsible bidder. The estimated annual cost of this award is $21,722.78, but lots may be added to or deleted from this bid as needed in accordance with the price per square foot per lot. Staff recommends the CRA Board authorize the Executive Director to award ITB number 202005 for landscaping services in the CRA to E. Rodriguez Landscaping, Inc., on an as-needed basis and within the established departmental budget.
Thank you, Ms. Driver. Are there any questions or comments from the board? None? Do we have a motion to approve this item?
Just one question.
Mr. Council, Board Member Roth.
Thank you, Mayor. This is just designed to take care of all the vacant lots that the CRA owns?
This is all of the, yes, sir, all of the CRA lots, not including the CRA building.
Not including the building
Not
itself?
including the building.
Okay, is Washington Avenue in the CRA?
It's the CRA-owned lots.
I understand. I'm just asking another question. Maybe staff can help me.
Is Washington Avenue in the CRA?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So several years ago, we spent a lot of money landscaping and upgrading Washington Avenue from Campbell Drive south to, I believe, 2nd Drive. And it looks terrible. So maybe somebody can get out there and figure out who's responsible for taking care of that specific area that's right in front of the Mamma Mia's, and it ends towards City Hall. So if somebody can look at that and see if we can
We'll
find out
take
who's
care of that.
responsible. I know I mentioned it before.
Okay.
But I was down there the other day and I was like, we spent so much money to upgrade that area, put new curbing in and all that stuff, and it's just not being maintained. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Roth, and I would agree, and while I recognize that this is not a contract for the right-of-way maintenance, I share your concerns. Unkempt landscaping is probably worse than no landscaping, so I hope that we can take a look at that, okay? Has this item been moved? Moved by Board Member Roth. We have a second by Board Member Bailey. Any further questions or comments? Okay. None appearing. Do we need a roll call vote or we do a voice vote?
You can do a roll call vote, Mr. Mayor.
Pardon?
You can do a roll call vote, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, please go ahead.
Board Member Fletcher,
Yes.
Board Member Shelley,
Yes.
Board Member Roth. Yes. Board Member Avila,
Yes.
Board Member Bailey, Chairwoman Faircloth Staggers,
Yes.
Chairman Losner.
Yes,
The motion carries.
thank you. Anything further from the board members? Anything further, Ms. Driver? Okay. Do we have are there any public comments? Anyone waiting in line to do public comments?
I see no, Mr. Mayor.
No, none? Okay. Thank you. We have a motion to adjourn. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Okay. And we will convene the special call the committee of the whole meeting at 5:30. Thank you all. Good evening, everyone. I'll call the City of Homestead Committee of the Whole meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, November 10th, 2020. It is now 5:30 p.m. This is a hybrid meeting which allows for the public to participate by calling in, Cisco WebEx, or physically appearing. Please note that due to COVID-19, there will be limited occupancy available in the council chambers. Face coverings must be worn at all times. In addition, the public will be subject to temperature checks and COVID screenings will be required. The meeting can also be viewed live on the City Access channel or City website at cityofhomestead.com. The City will be accepting public comments as part of the meeting, which can be emailed to publiccomments@cityofhomestead.com. Public comments are limited to 300 words per comment. Public comments on agenda items can be submitted by noon Monday, November 9th, 2020, and will be included in the minutes. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Avila,
Here.
Councilman Shelley,
Here.
Councilman Roth, Councilwoman Bailey, Councilman Fletcher,
Here.
Vice Mayor Faircloth Staggers,
Here.
Mayor Losner.
Here. Thank you. Madam Manager, are there any additions, deletions, or deferrals?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Our first order of business is the approval of the October 13th, 2020 Committee of the Whole minutes. I'll entertain a motion for approval of those minutes. Moved by Councilman Roth. Second by Councilwoman Bailey. Any further comments? All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Next item, tab 2, motion to place car number 3032 on the council agenda, a Homestead history experience. Is that you, Madam Manager?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, that would be me. The City of Homestead has applied for and received a $50,000 grant from the Florida Department of State Division of Historical Resources for creation of a historical exhibit at the Cybrarium. Next week, staff intends to put an RFP out for a consultant that will research, design, fabricate, and install this historical exhibit on the City of Homestead for the City of Homestead and the surrounding area. Staff recommends that the Mayor and Council approve the attached resolution authorizing the City Manager to enter into an agreement and establish a budget for a grant award of $50,000 from the Florida Department of State Division of Historical Resources for a historical exhibit at the Cybrarium. This grant requires no matching funds.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council?
Mayor?
Councilman Roth. Was that you? Or Council Shelley?
Thank you, Mayor. Do we have an idea of what the exhibit might look like at this point? I mean, will the contents of the presentation or what it ultimately looks like, will that come back before us to have discussion on and feedback on? And this is just kind of bringing the person on board and approving the grant?
We're putting out an RFP, so yes, it will come back, but it's going to include educational signage, interactive displays, a VR experience, and a related web application that will be accessible from anywhere. But we're putting out the RFP, so we'd have to come back to have it awarded.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because I just wanted to make sure we had some feedback or input as this thing starts to be developed. I know we had some discussion, or I think I had some discussion with staff a while back as well, that, you know, out in Everglades National Park, they have some great historical exhibits that they've acquired related to the park, also related to the area here in the City of Homestead. But unfortunately, it's not accessible by the public. You can't get in there to see it. It's in this room where everything is, you know, climate controlled and protected. They've always wanted some way of having some sort of ability to display that or let the public enjoy that. And so this would seem, with a virtual reality type scenario, a great way to maybe bring some of those artifacts to life, where you could actually go to the Cybrarium and see those firsthand in a virtual reality setting without having to risk putting those artifacts at risk for
Yes,
any type
absolutely.
of destruction.
It will be visible, very visible, yes.
You're muffled. It's hard to kind of.
Maybe it's the mask.
There we go.
Yes, it'll be very visible and accessible to the public.
Okay. All right. So that's all. I just wanted to make sure we had a say in that, could develop it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. And I wanted to my comments kind of piggyback on yours, that we just not turn someone loose and he or she take rumor and innuendo for granted. There still are a lot of living, credible resources to confirm historical facts and provide information. They may not live here any longer. Some do, some don't. But this is our one really good shot at having a comprehensive and, most importantly, accurate history put together in the most current medium available.
Yes, absolutely understood. We completely agree.
Thank you. Anything further from council? Do we have a motion to place this item on the council agenda?
Move it.
Moved by Councilwoman Avila, second by Councilman Shelley. Anything further from council? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Next item, tab 3 is a motion to place car number 3035 on the council agenda, the Lossner Park Playground. Madam Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. The attached proposal from Compan Inc. is for all of the playground equipment that is specified in the plans for the Lossner Park expansion. As part of the proposal, Compan will also be installing the playground equipment and provide a 5 or a 10-year or lifetime warranty on the components. This purchase is in accordance with U.S. Communities Contract number 201-700-1135. Funding for this purchase will come from a National Recreation and Park Association grant, a Florida Land and Water Conservation Fund grant, and a Florida Development Recreation Assistance Program grant. These are grants that have been awarded and for which budgets have been established. This project is part of the city's capital improvement plan, CIP number 546. Staff recommends that Mayor and Council approve the attached resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Compan Inc. for the purchase of playground equipment and installation at Lossner Park for a total of $445,609.08. And Mayor, we did forward to Mayor and Council some of the plans that show the extent to which this installation is, and also some pictures that the equipment that's going to be installed. And it's also listed in the attached in the car. Not the pictures, but the items.
All right, thank you. Any questions or comments from council? Councilwoman?
Thank you, Mayor. I see under the general assumptions that the underground utilities, boulders, rock ledge, or other obstructions not visible would be considered unforeseen conditions and given a change order to the contract. In the plans and in the designs, are there no utilities needed or anything that's not already taken into consideration?
I'm not sure what you're looking at, but I think what you're referencing is that if they come across anything that we hadn't anticipated being underground when they start to dig the foundation, I think that's what you were
Well,
referencing.
it's just very generic. It says all underground utilities would be considered unforeseen
let me know
conditions.
what you're looking at?
That's page, that's Exhibit 1, under the Compan Let's Play General Assumptions.
And how far down that page?
Item 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, number 8, bullet 8.
Okay. What they're saying is that these, if they come across something that hasn't been removed, maybe some old utilities that are there, these would be deemed unforeseen conditions that may increase the cost of the installation.
Okay, thank you. And then these pictures do show a lot of the landscaping, but that would be a separate vendor?
The landscaping is a separate vendor, yes.
Okay, so maybe the line.
Oh, you mean the picture with all the, yes,
Okay.
that would be the landscaping, yes.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Now, and I had a hard time picking through. The pictures show the canopy. Is that included in this?
The canopy, no. And that's over that biggest piece, correct?
Right.
Yeah, then no, it's not.
No, it's not. Okay. So that's somewhere else. But although this is reflected in our capital improvement plan, is my understanding correct that this item is paid in full by grant funding?
Those three grants that we mentioned, there were matching funds on 2 of them. I can tell you what they were. These were grants that previously came to the council. There was one for $30,000, and that one had no match. And then there was one for $200,000, and that one did have a match, but that would be paid for with impact fees that are being used for the project. And then there was also another one that did require, it was a $250,000 match, but again, that will be used for money that is being spent on the project.
And this doesn't include the rubberized
It does not,
base
that's
either?
correct.
Okay, so we've got a floor and a roof to do in addition to this. This is just bare bones equipment so that we're all.
Well, it's pretty exciting equipment. I know it's hard to tell from the pictures, but it's pretty amazing.
Thank you. Did you have something, Councilman?
Yeah, just one thing. Thank you, Mayor. In your background supporting documentation, it talks about the warranties, 5-year, 10-year, or a lifetime warranty on the components. Do we know which one we're going to end up with?
Pedro will answer that question.
So it's actually all 3 warranties. It just depends on the component. The structure itself, the frame and all that is lifetime. It's 10 years on all the cables, I think the slides, and then it's 5 years on the smaller pieces, like the eye bolts and different connectors.
And somebody from our Park and Rec is going to keep track of which is under which warranty, under which time when it breaks? Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Mayor, may I?
Yes. Yes. Vice Mayor.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions for staff, and I'm grateful that this is being funded by several grants. So thank you for procuring those for this project. My question is, why are the canopies in the illustrations, but they're not included in the project?
So those pictures were just samples of installations they did at other cities. I think our design did not include the installation by the architects, did not include the shade.
So we're looking, I don't understand why we're looking at something that we're not actually receiving. I mean, that's a sample and it looks great, but I would prefer to view something, a rendering of what will actually be there. My concern is I want to make sure that canopy or shade structures are included, because with children out there, particularly infants and toddlers, there has to be shade structures for them because of the climate in the summer and in the fall. It'll be too hot to access that equipment for children. So we're spending almost $500,000 on a playground to not have any canopy or shade structure. I think that's very irresponsible. So will we have shade structures out there?
Vice Mayor, we can certainly look into adding shade structures to it. The reason that we put that picture in is just to give a sense of that rather large item that's part of the playground equipment, to show, I think, a little bit more clearly what it looks like. But we can absolutely follow up and look into getting canopies and shading for those items.
Okay, thank you. That's very, very important for children. Also, the playground, which developmental age levels will that be appropriate for? Because in those renderings on a couple of pages, it says all ages on one of the slides, but what I saw, that's not for all ages, probably for toddlers or school-age children.
So the larger component is the age 5 to 12, your general school. For the 2 to 5, there's on the site plan, the structure that's to the right of that one is the toddler zone, and there's a toddler slide. So there's a larger slide and a large component, the swings, which is for everyone, and then there's a toddler climber and a toddler slide area. If you look at the site map, it's to the right of it. You see the site map
But
that has
for
the
toddlers
5.
and school-age children.
Excuse me?
We couldn't quite catch that, Vice Mayor. Could you repeat that?
Okay. So basically, this playground equipment is for toddlers up to school-age children, or toddlers and beyond.
Yes.
That's correct.
Can we receive, outside of the site plan, a true rendering or an example of what will actually be there, so that I can have a better, clearer frame of reference?
Vice Mayor, we can do that. I don't know if you had a chance to see what we did send you just in the last hour, but we can get more clear renderings and bring them back to you.
I did see that, but that's a sample of another project. That's not everything that we will receive. I would prefer to have a clear understanding of what we will receive. And if you definitely follow up on those canopies or shade structures, it's very, very important.
Understood.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. And in that vein, let me ask, did the overall budget contemplate a shade structure, at least in part, and then I guess the rubberized base?
Okay, the answer is that some of the shade structure is going to come from the landscaping, but what we will do is look at that and discern what exactly the landscaping would cover, and then determine what we'd have to do to have better shade structure.
Okay, thank you. Let's, I've certainly let you know that, $500,000 of playground equipment is a lot of money, particularly if we don't have the ground cover that I think most parents expect now, and the shade cover as well. And I understand that $125,000 of that is installation.
Mayor, we do have that ground cover. It's just not under this contract. We definitely have that ground cover. Yes, that's a very important part of the project.
Yeah, well, that's what I asked, if that was in the overall budget already, not in
Yes,
this
I
item,
apologize.
but in the overall budget. Okay.
Yes, it is.
Very good, thank you. Councilwoman?
Thank you. I just want to add one more thing with regards to the ground cover. Can we make sure that it's not the individual rubberized pieces and actual solid turf?
The mat?
Correct.
Yeah, it's the poured in place rubber. So it's not loose. It's the hard packed rubber, and it's going to be shaded different colors to simulate the water according to the plants.
Thank you. And my experience with these playgrounds is we have to also make sure that there's significant warranty for them to come back and fill, because there will be settling that will occur, especially where the equipment is placed into the ground. Those surrounding areas around the bases of those poles will experience some settling, and they will charge to come back out. So we need to take a look at that part of the contract. And then to piggyback on Vice Mayor, absolutely we have to have those shade coverings. We have to, and Mayor Losner, we have to make sure that equipment is cool enough to the touch to be utilized at those peak summertime hours. And if we can include in the swing area, I didn't see any in the renderings, but some infant swings, that's important for the parents that have multiple age children to be able to have the infant in the swing while the other children are at play as well. Thank you.
We will definitely follow up. All really good suggestions. Thank you.
Was there a motion? Was there a motion for approval? I don't think it was.
It does have the infant swings. It has 2 infant seats, three bay seats, and then it has these 2 baskets, which are kind of like the old tire swing, but they're like flat. It's like a modern version of it. So it does have it.
Thank you, Pedro. Do we have a motion to move this forward? Moved by Councilwoman Bailey, seconded by Councilwoman Avila. Anything further from council? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next item is tab 4, motion to place car number 3039 on the council agenda, modification of the help program requirements due to COVID-19. Madam Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. On April 22nd, 2020, Council approved a memorandum of understanding with Mujer to administer the Homestead Energy Lend a Hand program in order to provide assistance to eligible families and individuals with their homestead utility bill. Under the program's criteria, any homestead utility customer who is facing a crisis due to unforeseen circumstances and cannot pay their bill may apply to receive a one-time assistance of up to $200 per year per residence, as long as no other assistance has been received from another source within the past year. Through Mujer, 81 residents have been assisted to date. However, as the impacts of the pandemic continue, City of Homestead account holders are facing a greater accumulation of bills. Staff is requesting to increase the assistance amount from $200 per year per resident to $500 per year per resident and temporarily allow for assistance from other agencies during the COVID-19 pandemic. Staff recommends Mayor and Council authorize the City Manager to temporarily modify the current Homestead Energy Lend-A-Hand Program Memorandum of Understanding with Mujer, Inc. during the COVID-19 pandemic in order to better assist the city's utility customers during this time of need.
Thank you. Any questions from council?
I have one, please.
Councilwoman.
Thank you. This is the same program where we added that additional option for anyone paying their utilities to pay a little additional, if they would like to donate towards it?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Do we know to date
how much people have contributed to it?
They've contributed about $10,000. I can get an exact amount and send it over to council.
Okay, I was just curious. That's great to hear. So from that initial 7,000 from the fund balance and that additional through donations, 81 have been helped?
That's correct. And we've also moved money when we were making suggestions to move some of our money to increase this fund. We did that as well. And that was money that we were hoping to get back from CARES funding.
Okay, great. No, thank you. Thanks to Mujer and for you for doing this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Any further? Okay, do we have a motion for approval? Moved by Councilwoman Avila, second by Councilwoman Bailey. Any further questions or comments from council? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next item, tab 5, motion to place car number 3041 on the council agenda. Proposed amendment to CDBG 2020 through 2021 action plan for CARES Act COVID funds.
Thanks, Mayor. On March 13th, 2020, President Trump declared a national emergency concerning the novel corona disease outbreak. As a result, HUD, through the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, allocated to the city $484,742, and that was addressed in CAR 2899, which was accepted and approved by Council. On July 22nd, 2020, Council adopted the fiscal year 2020-2021 Community Development Block Grant Action Plan and submitted the plan to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for approval. The plan was approved by HUD on June 30th, 2020. On September 11th, 2020, HUD's Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act allocated an additional $527,823 to the city. The CDBG CARES Act Federal Register Notice FR-6218N-01 describes the allocations and grant procedures applicable to the CDBG CV grants. These new dollars are earmarked in the amended plan that's attached to this CAR, $100,000 for a meal program to provide meals to those impacted by COVID, and $348,000 for small business grants, similar to what the CRA does, but this would be citywide, and also that amount for each business would be increased from $5,000 to $10,000. Staff recommends that the mayor and council approve the attached resolution authorizing the city manager to submit an amended Community Development Block Grant CDBG action plan to the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development for the expenditure of the CDBG coronavirus-related funds in the amount of $527,823, and staff is here, as well as our consultant, to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Council? Questions? Comments? We have a motion for approval. Moved by Councilman Roth. Second by Councilman Shelley. Yes, Vice Mayor.
I was trying to second it, but
Okay,
I heard
sorry.
Councilman
We still
Shelley.
haven't gotten over that little audio delay yet. Thank you, though. All right,
Okay.
are there any further questions or comments from council? All right then, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next item, tab 6. Motion to place car number 3034 on the council agenda, the City Hall Plaza use request. Madam Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. Chabad of Homestead and Cutler Bay is requesting that mayor and council authorize the city manager to approve the use of the City Hall Plaza on Thursday, December 10th, 2020, at 5:30 p.m. to host their annual public menorah lighting. Chabad of Homestead and Cutler Bay is hosting their annual public menorah lighting and kindle the light on the menorah event. This free event is a community-wide candle lighting ceremony open to all regardless of background or race. Since Losner Park will be under construction, they are requesting to host their annual event at the City Hall Plaza. Attendance is expected to be around 50 people, and they will follow social distancing guidelines. Chabad of Homestead and Cutler Bay is a nonprofit organization.
Thank you, Madam Manager. Any questions or comments from council?
Just one comment. Thank you, Mayor. It's always a beautiful, beautiful event, so I'm glad that we're able to help them move it not too far away, and I would love to support it.
Yeah, very good. It was a very, very nice event with, approximately 50 in attendance last year in Losner Park. So I'm glad that we're able to accommodate that. So do we have a motion for approval? Moved by Councilwoman Bailey, seconded by Councilwoman Avila. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next item, tab 7, motion to place car number 3031 on the council agenda, Mayor Roscoe Warren Municipal Park Grant. Madam Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. The City of Homestead has been awarded a grant from the State of Florida Department of Environmental Protection for renovation of the Mayor Roscoe Warren Municipal Park Playground. Staff recommends that the Mayor and Council approve the attached resolution authorizing the City Manager to enter into an agreement and establish a budget for a grant award of $125,000 from the Florida Department of Environmental Protection for the renovation of the Mayor Roscoe Warren Municipal Park Playground. The grant requires $125,000 in matching funds, which will come from Parks and Recreation impact fees.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council? Questions, comments? We have a motion for approval. Moved by Councilman Roth. Second by Councilwoman Bailey. There are no further questions or comments. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Next item, tab 8, motion to place car number 3020 on the council agenda, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement JAG 2019 grant. Madam Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. The Florida Department of Law Enforcement has awarded the City of Homestead Police Department $7,518 2019-2020 JAG grant late award for the purchase of law enforcement equipment. Staff recommends that the Mayor and Council approve the attached resolution authorizing the City Manager to enter into an agreement and establish a budget for a grant award of $7,518 from the Florida Department of Law Enforcement for the purchase of lighting equipment for the city's SWAT team. This grant requires no matching funds.
Thank you, Madam Manager. Any questions or comments from council? Do we have a motion for approval? Moved by Councilwoman Avila, seconded by Councilman Roth. Any further questions or comments from council? I'll pause for a minute and let you two online catch up. Thank you. None appearing. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Next item, motion, tab number 9, motion to place car number 2933 on the council agenda, the purchase of the Alltech utility bucket truck. Madam Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. This is for the purchase of a utility bucket truck. The purchase of this vehicle is in accordance with the Sourcewell contract number 012418-ALT. This project is part of the city's capital improvement plan, CIP number 2109. In order to ensure that local vendors had an opportunity to participate in this purchase, the Procurement Division issued a request for information to local vendors, and no responses were received. This purchase is to replace vehicle number 04102, a 16-year-old truck with 121,219 miles and in poor condition. The new truck will be utilized for day-to-day operations by staff responsible for maintaining the Homestead Public Services Electric Division's electric facilities. Staff recommends that the Mayor and Council approve the attached resolution authorizing the City Manager to purchase one Altec Model AT41M articulating telescopic aerial device bucket truck from Altec Industries, Inc. for $159,117.
Thank you, Madam Manager. Questions or comments from council? Motion for approval? Moved by Councilman Shelley. Seconded by Councilman Roth. Any further questions or comments from council? None appearing. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you all. Motion carries. Next item is tab 10, motion to place car number 3037 on the council agenda. The purchase of one 2022 front-end loader and two 2022 side loaders. Madam Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. This item is for the purchase of 3 solid waste vehicles. One front-end loader, vehicle number 12202 with 163,245 miles, and 2 side loaders, vehicle 10221 with 126,649 miles, and vehicle 10222 with 127,720 miles, and all 3 are in need of extensive repairs. These vehicles are used for the daily for the collection of garbage from both commercial and residential customers. The purchase of these vehicles is in accordance with the Florida Sheriff's Contract number FSA 20-VEH 18.0 and FSA 20-VEH 18.0 TE. This project is part of the city's capital improvement plan, CIP number 2042 and 2201. These vehicles are going to be financed. The total cost of $896,220 is part of the original CIP plan, and the financing of the 3 vehicles was budgeted for in fiscal year 2020 and 2021. It will take approximately 5 to 6 months before the vehicles are ready to be delivered, at which time the actual financing will come back to council for approval in substantially the form described below, which is how financing stood as of October 23rd, 2020, a BCI capital lease financing proposal. At that time, it was at an interest rate of 1.67% over a 7-year term. Annual lease payments would be $136,725 beginning in fiscal year 2022. The city budgeted $75,807 for 2 quarterly payments in fiscal year 2021. This proposal is subject to change over the next 5 to 6 months, at which time the rates could be adjusted. And that's why, because it takes so long to order the trucks, we order them now, and then we'll come back to you with the actual financing that's in place at that time. So staff recommends that mayor and council approve the attached resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase 1 2022 Mack TE Series front-end loader and 2 2022 Mack TE Series side loaders from Nextran Truck Center for a grand total of $896,220.
Thank you, Madam Manager. Any questions or comments from council? We have a motion for approval. Moved by Councilman Roth. Seconded by Councilman Shelley. Any further questions or comments on the purchase of the much-needed garbage trucks? I'm sure probably before this time next year, we'll have a conversation about needing an additional one at the rate of growth that we're having. All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. That concludes the formal part of the agenda. I know, Councilman Shelley, you had something you wanted to bring up, but Madam Manager, for clarification, let's go back to item 2, the historic homestead grant. Your the summary provides that it doesn't require any matching grants. But I was alerted that page 5 of the contract at paragraph 13 requires a match. Can we reconcile that?
The contract goes on to further explain that certain groups, including municipalities, are exempt from the match.
Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Councilman Shelley.
Perfect. Thank you, Mayor. Just real quickly, I got contacted, or I have been contacted over time by some of our nearby farmers, as well as the Dade County Farm Bureau, of an issue that's ongoing and actually will, I guess, public comment for it will end on Monday. And so they're asking for us at the city level to support what they're looking to do, and I'll kind of summarize that here real quick. But essentially, Durham is going to issue an interim guidance, but that interim guidance ultimately becomes the minimum standard required when seeking a rezoning of your property if you're ag zoning to any other piece of property. And so what it does is it presumes that all agricultural land is contaminated. It's assuming that based on either the pesticides or the fertilizer or whatever was used over time, that every single agricultural piece of land is deemed to be contaminated and therefore must obtain a phase 1 and phase 2 environmental assessment as part of any rezoning process. So obviously the farmers are very concerned that their land is now being deemed as a contaminated piece of property. If they go to sell that property, you know, the buyer is obviously going to use that as leverage against them, trying to say that that requires potential remuneration or mitigation, and therefore the property is then devalued. And so that's very concerning for our ag industry, for everybody to now all of a sudden take this devaluation. It also affects them as property owners if they wanted to rezone it and build 1 per 5 on their particular piece of property for maybe a family home. That also will kick in. They'll have to go through all of these processes and spend all this money as part of that rezoning process in order to even build their own house on their own property. And so it's pretty devastating the way this is proceeding. And so what they're asking for is for the city as a body to take a position in support of them and the Dade County Farm Bureau in rejecting this proposal, because at this point Durham has not justified why this is coming through, why this needs to be committed to writing, because it flips again the normal burden. Right now, if you're a property owner and you go to sell it, it's the burden's on the buyer to figure out what is the condition and the nature of that particular property. This guidance will flip the script and essentially make it where the seller now has the burden of proving that their land is not contaminated, which is a much higher process now for that seller to go through as they're trying to sell their property. So they would like for us to take a position that we are in support of them, that this interim guidance is too soon or doesn't need to be issued at all. And the comment period is on Monday, so the council meeting won't occur before we have the comment period, but they still would like to have potentially a resolution. So part of tonight is putting this on your guys' radar and seeing whether or not you guys support the ability for staff and the city attorneys to prepare such a resolution before the Wednesday council meeting, expressing support. I know Dade County Farm Bureau can provide more background information to all the council members so that you get up to speed, and that would be included in any type of car item that came before us so that everybody knew what they were particularly taking a position on. The other thing that they are asking for is that if individually all of us could write a letter on our own individual behalfs or as an elected official and submit that by Monday to also provide that as part of the comment to say that we are supportive of our local farmers and surrounding ag community, and that we would prefer that this either be delayed or not go forward at all. So.
Thank you, Councilman. Now, would that be something issued to Farm Bureau as part of their package of comments or individually to the county, directly from us to the county?
Either or. The Farm Bureau is the one that's kind of initiated this request to some extent. I think they are putting together a long list of both ag supporters and, in this case, local governments. And so I believe it'd be best to go through Farm Bureau and they put together as one big package and to turn that in versus say all of us just kind of submitted it to the counties individually.
Either way, I've been aware of this and have heard some of those same concerns, and I would certainly hope the council would indicate their approval for us to execute such a letter or resolution on behalf of the city and forward it during the comment period.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilman, Mayor, consider it done.
Thank you. Councilman Bailey? Mr. Roth?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Can we get whatever was written so we can form a letter as well on a personal level? Is there
I did
something
speak
they
with
could
them
send to us?
Yeah, I did speak with them and ask if they could provide a form letter to us so that we had something that would hit the highlights so that we weren't trying to create it. So I'm hoping that now that there seems to be favorable responses up here, I'll report back to them and put the ball back in their court to say they need to reach out to all of you and all of your assistants to make sure that they get you the form letter and any of the background information so you guys can better understand it before you sign on the dotted line, so to speak.
Yeah, that would be great, because I would like to send a personal letter of support too, just because, when they start to regulate things like this, it just makes it harder and harder for people to get stuff done. So, and to protect our farmers furthermore, I think it's a great, and thank you for bringing it to our attention. Thank you.
And also, Councilman, if you could get the language to myself and to our attorneys so that we can put the resolution together to bring to council next week.
Yeah, I'm gonna put Dade County Fire Bureau in touch with you, their representative who's handling or taking the lead on this, and that way they can get you all that you need. So
Okay.
I'll put the two of you in touch.
And we'll need it by this week.
Yes,
so
I'm hoping they'll do it by tomorrow.
Okay, okay, thank you.
No problem, thanks.
Yeah, and it won't be able to
Again,
come.
just to clarify, that's got to be in Farm Bureau's hands for them to deliver it by Monday,
Monday,
which is
right.
prior to our council
Right.
meeting.
Understood, I think your letters, that will happen, but the council meeting, the resolution will be after the fact, but they'll know it's coming.
All right, very good. Thank you all. Anything further from council? Attorneys? Manager?
No, Mayor?
Motion to adjourn? Moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Thank you all. Meeting adjourned.